And there we go. Good morning. I appreciate everyone being fully caffeinated and ready to rock and roll a little bit. Because when we talk about incidents, whether the incident involves gambling, gaming, if you're, basically hiding out somewhere, let's just say trying to avoid certain things, or let's say you're the innocent bystander. Well, 3 things we know for sure. 1, we know that there's going to be money involved. We know that somebody's funding it. We also know that, well, probably oligarchs behind it. But we definitely know there's going to be one thing involved: lawyers. And so, hi, I'm Liz Wharton. I'm a lawyer. I'm not yours, but I could be because I am on the market. But this is not going to be legal advice. Even my dog, Chance, would not follow anything or take anything to heart. And I'm also going to give sincere apologies to Warren Zevon, who wrote this amazing song, and that we are going to absolutely slaughter, pull apart, and have some fun with today. So, all right, let's be honest. Disinformation campaigns, lawfare, we can call it, that's not new. That is old news, etc. But where it gets interesting and where we've seen some shifts in the last couple of years, and really going to highlight some of that, is when you have, let's just say, I don't know, we'll call him Daddy Putin. And so you have some folks who are saying, Daddy, get me out of this. Pardon my French, but the shit has hit the fan. And we're getting our money taken away. So send the lawyers, send the Garchs, send the money. Because you have some shifting perspectives in how folks are dealing with these issues. And what they're doing is, and what we're going to do is take a couple of cases that have come out within the last 5 years and look at how they're manipulating the US legal system and to get out the disinformation campaigns. We're going to look at a little bit of how and when I say they, we have these oligarchs, and what is going on in both the US and the UK, where what we call anti-Slapp or Slapp, these libel lawsuits, because they don't like what's being put out there. They don't like the fact that what they're trying to do, 1, the money's getting taken away, and 2, they're getting caught. And it's this whole thing. So how are they twisting these cases to make it difficult for, researchers to do that voodoo that you do so well? So what we're going to do is, so apologies to Warren, we're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place and talk about some of the ways to get out of that. So first of all, how was I to know she was with the Russians too? And the lawyers, they're leaking things because, lawyers, we leak. And Garchs, how they're destroying different data and how they're manipulating data privacy protections. Doesn't really seem like it fits together, but I promise it will. And we're also talking about the money, because again, lawyers, Garchs, and money, and how the money is funding and going towards certain things, and then get us out of here. Because, well, it's not fun unless you can do the things that you do with it. So what are some of the ways we're working around it and getting through all these things? So that's where we're going to go. But first, how was I to know she was with the Russians too? Because all the world is a stage, and you're going to see when you look at all these cases, there's certain people, the names are going to keep popping up and popping up. And as we head into the next presidential election, I hate to bring us back, but you may have heard about some dossiers that came out after the last one. You may have heard about different things. Well, may he rest, allegedly, peace, if not. But Yevgeny's name's gonna pop up a lot. You're also gonna see that there are several different law firms that are also gonna pop up a lot because everyone's going to the same lawyers because a lot of firms have shifted away from their work with Russian oligarchs, but not all of them. And at this point, we've had 1,300 entities and individuals over the last year that the UK has now sanctioned. US, same kind of thing. So, but you come back and, for example, Yevgeny, well, he has a friend who's a lawyer, Gershon. Gershon started a law firm, Discreet Law. He's a lawyer. And you're gonna see again, these same names are going to keep popping up. Follow the money, follow the threads. And again, it's the same kind of stuff. So it's not only the same names that we're gonna talk about, and some of these lawyers, and for example, and it's the same companies like Alpha Group, Concord, which is another front company, but you're gonna see them, again, coming up, and you're gonna start pulling that because as a researcher, how do you find what you want to find? You find the threads. You follow the threads, and you pull those threads, and you see where the points are. So let's start at the beginning, shall we say, let's blame the lawyers, because lawyers should be blamed for everything. But when you come down to it, lawyers are using the US legal system, and by that I mean discovery. So, and yes, lawyers will tell you manipulating discovery is a fantastic tactic. If you don't know, anyone who's watched Law & Order or any of those legal shows, you know if you need to go on a fishing expedition, you submit discovery requests. Yeah, but what happens when the discovery requests and the documents that were released in discovery, suddenly 1,000 of them, 1,000 of the documents released in discovery dealing with some of these indictments ended up on a website. And we're talking about the Steele dossier. So now we're talking about in the Mueller report, we're going through all those. What happened when those documents that the lawyers had and Concord had suddenly are manipulated? And not only are manipulated, but they're being used to sow disinformation campaigns. 1,000 of them. Well, you have Mueller coming in, and you have people coming in saying, hey, we should not have to give the other party, we should not have to permit them to have access to these documents, because all they're gonna do is they're going to use them against our efforts. And it's going to cause a thing, which that alone, and being able to trace back those leaked documents that start appearing on websites back to Russian-based, Russian-located IP addresses, that's a big deal. When there's an 18-page filing where Mueller's sitting there going, guys, I can't do this. I cannot do this. It's being thwarted. That's new. That's different. That's fascinating. So, okay, sure. And in this case, it was a US law firm, Reed Smith. Some funny filings. Go back and read what the judge did to the lawyer from Reed Smith, because he tried to get cute and weave all these things into his filings, and she was just like, dude, no. Animal House, let's not have that as your quote for, but okay. So now we've got the lawyers who are leaking. Well, what is going on with the data privacy side? How is that being thwarted? Well, you start having all these stories coming out, and I am shocked that there is gambling going on in this establishment. I am shocked that all these reports start coming out that I, a solid, upstanding oligarch, am alleged to have done all these things with illicit cash. So, okay, what happens with that? How is that being manipulated. Well, in the Steele dossier, we have Orbis Business Intelligence, where they said, all right, you've alleged some stuff about us. And Orbis is like, wait, what are you talking about? So a UK-based company, researchers, and the oligarchs come out and they say, well, we don't like what you've said about this. You're alluding to, so you're saying that we've handled illicit cash. We've done these things and clutch my pearls. This is crazy. So they sued them under not libel, because they used the libel in the US. They sued them in the UK for breaching data protection. So as a researcher, think about this. You're finding all this information. You're storing it. You have notes. You have data that you're storing on your laptops, on your storage, on your things. And suddenly, you're getting sued. And in this case, 2 of the 15 charges, they actually were held liable. And in violation of the 1st and 4th sections of the UK's data protection laws, saying, hey, you should have taken another step further and verify that information. Because in 2 of the counts and allegations in the dossier, they said, you didn't give them the same level of scrutiny that you gave everything else. And so think about that for a second, because you have both individuals and companies going, but wait, we did what? We're a data collector? How the hell did that happen? Like, no, we're just researching it, we're publishing. Well, then you also had, so kind of going off the success of that, you had an interesting one where in the Stedman and Forensic News. So now you have a reporter who's a US-based reporter releasing US-based, never traveled to the UK. Passport doesn't have stamps, hasn't left, being sued by the same 3 oligarchs in the UK for stories that were published, and they're being sued under UK law. Going, what the F? How did this happen? Again, so now they're thwarting where, and that's not the intention. That's not where we intended to go with this. Instead, they're doing that. Good news is that case settled and was dismissed. A lot of these cases do get dismissed. But at the same time, it starts creating this things you should be worried about. Threads you should be both pulling as well as protecting. Because when it comes down to it, it's all about the money. So let's slap that cash. And when I'm talking about slapping, I'm talking about strategic lawsuits against public participation. A lot of words, and I'm sorry. But really what it means is, it's the, I don't like what you said, so I'm gonna sue you, and I'm going to bury you in legal bills. I am going to drown you so that you're gonna pull these stories offline, which is what happened in some of the cases where stories have had to be altered, even though they were true. Even though they were, they said, you know what, we'll just take it down because we don't have the money to fight this. Well, okay, but what happens when we're talking about these oligarchs and we've locked down their money? And so now they can't, which is one thing. So we have Khan, Friedman, and Avon, who, again, these are our oligarchs. Again, same names you're gonna see popping up. Keep these in the back of your mind because we're gonna have some fun with them in a second. But they filed all these suits against Orbis. Orbis kind of said, wait a minute. All right, you got us on 2 of those in the UK. But they didn't use, the lawyers did not use that tactic of the data privacy because the US, hey, we don't have the same data protections. So in this case, it actually helps researchers and it helps everyone because they had to go under libel. So they sue under libel, and the court said, what are you talking about? So when it came to the UK case, and those two different charges that they said, yeah, no, you did that, had to pay them approximately $23,000 per individual on 2 of the individuals. So what is that? I don't know, math is hard. What, 46,000? Well, when they sued under libel, they were countersued under Slapp, said this is a Slapp lawsuit. they're just trying to shut us down. They're not even participating in discovery. They're not doing any of this. So what happens? Judge says, you're right. And with Slapp lawsuits, you can get your legal fees back. So that's a little bit of a twist. That's a little bit of a help. So they got them back, and so you have $440K approximately. Well, they were going to let down because, again, they want to bury. The whole point of Slapp lawsuits are you want to bury a story. So they buried the story, and they said, we're going to appeal. We're going to appeal, 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 appeal. Judges each time in the U.S., when it's under libel, said, nope, 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 nope. You have to show up. You have to participate in discovery, and this is BS. So not only did they get hit there, they also got hit with fees on fees. Because, again, lawyers, Garchs, and money. The lawyers are going to get paid no matter what. Well, in this case, again, they got all that. Well, now what happens is this doesn't seem right, correct? I mean, you've got all these oligarchs who are basically stifling this research. All this stuff that's coming out, people do not have money to fight that. And so UK stepped in, and they've said, all right, we recognize that you have to have money to fund the lawsuit. So what we're going to do is we're taking all that money that's been sanctioned, we're saying you can't use it for Slapp lawsuits. You have to, law firms have to basically petition to be able to unfreeze some of the funds, and they're doing that. Well, in this case, when you're down on your luck, I thought this would be a fun little timeline to point out, because what we're going to see is that, all right, 2016, Steele dossier comes out. 2018, let's file some litigation, because we need to stifle all of this. And in 2020, courts in the UK said, all right, twice, sure. But what happened, I don't know, 2022 or so? Do you notice a trend starts happening? One, US Appeals Court says, no, not so fast. This was under libel. Let's get damages. So these same, and then in August, OFAC list gets updated. Those same, clutch my pearls, how dare you say that I did these things with illicit cash, et cetera, Yeah, no, same individuals who got their 46K in damages, yeah, no, they're now on the OFAC list because of sanctioned for doing the nefarious things that they were alleged to have done. So, okay, now we know that there's these lawsuits. We know that people are paying attention. They're paying mind to it. But as a researcher, how the hell do you keep from being, well, what is it, Bellingcat? How do you protect? Because Bellingcat also had another lawsuit against them that, again, got dismissed. It was libel. It was all these things. HarperCollins got sued when the book comes out. And so we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Where do we go from here? What do we do to fill the gaps and pull the threads? Because one of the things that we saw recently in August was we have, first of all, you shut down the money. You don't let, if you can't fund the lawsuit, suddenly the lawyers aren't as motivated. Funny how that works. Other questions, do you seize more assets? If you identify additional assets, do you seize them? Do you let them out? The other thing is, do you amend the statutes? Which, again, UK is taking the lead on this. US, we've had calls to do that, to say, hey, should we be able to do this? Should we not? But also find the patterns. Because one of the lawyers who just became sanctioned or is under indictment, DOJ, in August of 2023, what he was doing and how he was helping the oligarchs pull up the money and do all these things is he basically was acting as a go-between because, drumroll, he was funneling the money as lawyers. We have IOLTA accounts. We have trust accounts that we're running our money through. So as a researcher, if you can find those patterns, those law firms that are working with and working with and working with, again, lawyers are lazy, by the way. We follow the money, but we're also lazy. So when we name shell corporations, for people, we tend to follow a naming pattern. We also don't have very good cyber hygiene. I know this is shocking. Ask all the law firms that got hit with various ransomware attacks. But find those. Should you verify? Yes, because as we saw, researchers, at least in the UK under their data protection, are getting hit with that. Follow the IOLTA accounts. Pull all these threads because there is a pattern. Are you worried about libel? Sure. But the anti-Slapp and the Slapp litigation is being brought in. Those are being tightened. The money is being taken away to be able to do that. So when we talk about the oligarchs worried about, oh, Daddy Putin, get us out of this. Send lawyers, Garchs send money, because the shit has hit the fan. Well, keep in mind, the shit hasn't hit the fan when you can use that to your advantage and also find your own ways to fight back on those. So with that, thank you.